Welcome back to the Tosche Station podcast, but this is after hours. This is the Tosche Station after hours by the time we were recording this. Peter, Seon, Nick, how we all doing? How's life?
Doing good. Just Peter and I just graduated from college, so feeling old, but excited to get back on the podcast with the guys and getting excited to talk about all this new Star Wars content we've gotten over these past couple weeks.
It's been a fat minute since we've been on this podcast.
I know. Apologies, but so is life. Life happens. That's more important. Anyways, there has been how many episodes? Was it 3? Yeah, 3 episodes of The Bad Batch have released since our last podcast episode.
So tomorrow. Fourth one tomorrow.
Yes, and so we're going to. I originally wanted to just take each episode and just break it down, but that could take friggin' forever. So we're probably just gonna talk about the first 3 episodes all in this podcast. So whatever, you'll get our opinions.
David, how about this?
What?
How about we do a high and a low from a high, low, and an expectation from the 3 we have so far?
Honestly,
not fair?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that. I like that.
Excuse me, I'm dying over here. That works. That's perfect. But we did have some news drop literally right before we started filming this podcast. So
yes, we did.
Our boy Seon, he's got inside scoop, I guess. And I'm reading here in the Discord. The title says Dave Filoni has been promoted to the role of executive creative director at Lucasfilm.
It's about time. It is about time that cowboy hat is sitting behind the desk.
For those of you who don't know what that means, or need a little bit of inference for what that means, basically, there's only now he's been promoted to a role where there's only a few people ahead of him. Kathleen Kennedy, whose contract is up this coming, I think at the end of this year.
Is that true? Is it really up? Is her time really?
So. I believe Kathleen Kennedy is gone after after this year. So Kathleen Kennedy is ahead of him. Lynwyn Brennan, who is the executive vice president and general manager, and Momita Sengupta, who is the executive vice president of leads physical production. I guess executive vice president of physical production. He's and 2 other people, John Knoll and Doug Chiang, also hold the title of executive creative director. And I'm assuming that what this role means is that he now has say not only just over his shows and the things he's created, but the things that other people are creating as well. He has a hand in basically everything now, because Rangers of the New Republic is coming, Book of Boba Fett is coming, Ahsoka is coming, and then we also have the Acolyte and things like that. But I'm assuming now he will have a bigger say of what goes on in those shows, because let's be honest, no one seems to know this franchise or its fan base better than Dave Filoni.
I agree.
I don't think there's ever been a moment where Dave Filoni has missed. We may have thought that he missed with the beginning of Clone Wars. We may have thought that he missed with the beginning of Rebels.
He missed a bit with Resistance, but
Resistance is
was that
we
him?
don't talk about Resistance.
Who are fans of Clone.
That wasn't him, was it?
It's not for people who are fans of Clone Wars or fans of Rebels. Resistance was definitely for kids.
Oh, it was so Disneyfied.
Yes, Resistance was for kids, because Rebels got dark and Clone Wars got very dark.
I loved all the war crimes.
My nickname for Star Wars.
Okay, Dave Filoni.
Star Wars: The War Crimes.
Program creator.
Because there's literally he invented new war crimes. Literally all you have to do to find out what space war crimes should be, if should Earth move on to the galactic stage, is literally just watch Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and write down, what goes on, what the Republic does in each and every episode. You'll have a comprehensive list of war crimes.
Yeah, ain't that beautiful?
But
war never changes.
It really doesn't. But I know for a fact that the fan base is going to rejoice over this, or most of the fan base is going to rejoice over this. Actually, I think all of them will, because I think that no matter what side you take, quote unquote, the Kathleen Kennedy side,
there should be no side.
Well,
there shouldn't be any side. But
quick thing to that. So I, the rest of you, absolutely love Mr. Filoni, our Lord and Savior.
No, really?
On the other hand, we are actually, in my opinion, going to be facing an issue with him and his promotion. Again, love the man to death. The guy's done incredible work, minus Resistance. But I think Resistance is a showing point for the issues. People have become so dependent on Filoni to save the franchise, to save everything Star Wars related, that the man is being demanded to create literally anything for the fans, and the guy's gonna be overworked to death. So, like, yeah, I'm happy he got his promotion. At the same time, the guy's given us Rebels. He gave us Clone Wars.
Before.
He gave us The Mandalorian. Yeah, I'll preach it again. I love this dude. But when you start overworking or being the only one that people are turning to create content, gonna show in the work. It's gonna start to deteriorate.
Get a Fast and Furious 12 situation.
Yeah, he's going to be spread too thin. He's not going to get the support he needs.
I mean,
Favreau helped him out with The Mandalorian, but I mean, that's it.
Fast and Furious 12 is going into space, so Star Wars Fast and Furious crossover confirmed?
David,
David,
shut up.
What's going to happen?
We're not doing this.
We're going to see Luke Skywalker fucking drift in cars.
With Grogu in his hands.
He's going to go to the Tosche station to pick up some power converters. It's going to be Dom, like, hey, brother. Your family.
Now this is pod racing.
Yeah.
But no, Peter, I 100% agree with you, Peter. Like, I do think that there comes a point where it's like, okay, him getting promoted, like, this is really good. This is good news. But at the same time, is it going to start to be too much? How long until we say, like, until we see that, you know, the work isn't really... It's not passion, it's more of just like, well, I have to keep pumping this out just so, you know, I can keep my place or, you know, keep my job or... It's just...
We're kind of starting to see that because, I mean, and this is kind of a good segue into what I think we kind of wanted to talk about later, which was our opinions on Bad Batch. And I'm a big fan of Bad Batch, but my big problem with it right now is that it kind of just feels like a Mandalorian retexture as clones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the reluctant father arc in which these people who are battle-hardened soldiers and, you know, rough and tumble guys are thrust upon by this younger person and they're immediately have to just adopt and become like father figures. And it's like, oh, I've seen this before in like literally every other piece of Star Wars. And it's like, I think we got a really unique way to see kind of what's happening. And I mean, not going forward into the discussion, but I think this is a really interesting piece of, you know, the kind of timeline of Star Wars that we haven't seen a lot except for in Fallen Order. And I just don't want to see it be kind of overwhelmed by just this paternal arc.
Now, granted, I think
one thing to that real quick. One thing to that, if you guys don't mind. That is one of the things that I have to say I applaud the Mandalorian staff for doing. So
I think it was great in Mandalorian.
Well, no, not even that. So it's a different concept. We'll jump to that in a second. I just want to kind of wrap up the last point.
Yeah.
One of the things I love that they did with The Mandalorian that gave Favreau and Filoni a break was the fact that they hired different directors to do each episode.
That at first worried me, but I mean, they made me eat my words.
Filoni did it too.
It turned out.
I have to say, my favorite episode. I mean, my favorite episode came from season 2, and it was the Boba episode. I think it's episode 4 or 5. It's the episode where he brings the child to the temple after seeing Ahsoka, and Boba lands, and they have the whole argument, and then Boba gets his armor back and goes on the rampage against the stormtroopers. That is hands down my favorite episode of The Mandalorian. And do you boys, I don't know if I told you guys this, the director for that episode was the director of Spy Kids.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Director of what?
Director of Spy Kids.
What?
It was
the guy who did the Boba Fett episode.
So that's why the action shots were so clean.
Yes. I don't know if you boys knew that. I really hope I made your day with that.
Spy Kids has some clean action scenes.
But that's the thing, because they let these guys
Robert
go off and do
Rodriguez.
their own.
Yeah.
Yep.
He also
Because
did
they let these
Elisa
guys
Battle
go off and
Angel.
do their own. Because they let these directors go off and do their own take on these episodes, we got really clean and epic episodes like that battle one.
Oh,
Like that
he
whole
did all
Boba
of the
Fett one.
Machete movies.
Yes.
And those are great.
Each one of those
Those are awesome.
each one of those episodes had a different feel to them. So I like the fact that they incorporated different directors, because it'll give Filoni and Favreau a break. And I'm really hoping that doing that can be a trend we get to see for some of these new movies that are coming out, so these new projects. And I think Filoni needs a break. I'm happy for his promotion, but I think with this promotion, he should take a little time off for some R&R for everything he's done so far.
Definitely. Well,
look, it's like
it is
for
some
Star
good news
Wars
though.
content, quality over quantity. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want
think-
Star Wars to be like something where they're coming out with like some new piece of Star Wars content every 20 minutes. Like, yeah, I think we're living in the golden age of Star Wars right now. You know, we're getting all, you know, we just got a new trilogy. In our lifetime, we've seen 2 full trilogies.
We're living
We've
in the
seen
golden age of Star Wars media. Where
Agreed.
I would say that I wouldn't say that this is a golden age of Star Wars in general yet, because that would be knocking everything the extended universe has done, and I don't want to do that, because right now, like
That's a
if-
good way to put it. I agree.
if we
Because the
get to a
extended
point-
universe is huge.
yes, exactly. If we get to a point where we can look back in retrospect at both universes when they both have a similar amount of content, then we can say which one was the golden era and which one wasn't. Because the extended universe, for all the praise that everyone gives it, it definitely missed a couple times. The holiday specials, we never speak of those ever again.
What holiday specials?
Exactly. And you know, I just think that, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to be able to say that we lived in the golden age of Star Wars media. Like now, yes, the sequel trilogy was not it forced people. I think the sequel trilogy has forced people to look at like what they hated about the prequels and go, okay, maybe this wasn't that bad. But it also, like, I've come to love Last Jedi more than I thought I would. Just because of like the ideas.
I will shoot you.
No,
That is not a threat. We will recreate the Han and Greedo scene from
Oh my
A New
goodness.
Hope if you continue this line of thought.
There's only one way we can
like-
settle this. There's only one way we can settle this, because apparently every other content creator ever is doing it this way now. Boxing.
What? She
Seon and Peter need to box.
No.
This needs to happen.
I prefer a lightsaber fight.
That's a professional sport in France now, apparently.
I know.
It
It's
is.
literally like we're slightly off topic, but like you can actually learn how to lightsaber fight in Russia.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
No.
Imagine being like, oh yeah, dude, yeah, you're more of like a Form 4, but I'm like a Form 7 instructor, so sorry, but you're gonna have to go
That's
find
his Putin.
another
That's his
Jedi
Putin, as he said.
lightsaber master. Like,
You learn all the
Putin's a Sith.
forms, you just get banned. Too strong.
I will learn all the forms. Don't test me.
There's only a limit as to how many forms you can
but-
learn. If they find
Don't
out you're learning more than
make
2
me
forms, they
kill you.
knock down your door and arrest you, or at least attempt to.
Because what are they gonna do? You know all the forms now.
You will try.
Real quick to circle back, Nick, I think we found the perfect segue. So one of the things I think we've seen, and the issue with the reason I say Filoni needs to take a break after his promotion, is because, as you and I have talked about, and as you have vehemently believed, with Bad Batch, we are seeing a huge recycling of a common trope that they seem to be relying on pretty heavily in Star Wars now. So I don't know if we want to use this opportunity as a push-off point to discuss some Bad Batch.
Omega is a bitch.
What?
Hey.
Omega.
Yeah.
There,
It's
I
like
said
what
it.
cheese.
I think that was our push. I think that was what we were gonna go towards, but
So,
regardless,
Maybe not with that. Maybe not with that verbiage.
don't
look,
give a shit.
I mean, I'm really hesitant to start jumping on the. Like, personally, I think she's kind of annoying. but I also really hated Ahsoka 8 years ago.
I mean, that's
and
perfect
she's
argument.
really come 180 degrees. So I'm really curious what they're gonna do with her character. But I really, really hope she is not force sensitive, because
the biggest
really
we don't
think
know what her enhancement is.
exactly. And I'm really worried that it's going to be some kind of like, oh, we're the Kaminoans trying to prove our worth to the Empire by making force-sensitive clones. And if this is a way that they're bringing Starkiller into canon, holy shit, that would be
I was confused about that.
Holy shit, that
how
would be
is that? Like, I saw
But,
something
like-
with like Starkiller was like mentioned in Bad Batch, and I never caught it. How are they like what is it about him that they're trying to be like make him canon in this? Like, is it the fact that like they cloned him?
I think it's the fact that Omega might be a force-sensitive clone, or might
clone.
be to that. But also, I think that like this is where we're gonna get the Kaminoan Rebellion from. You guys remember the original Battlefront? How there was after like post Order 66, the Kaminoans used their secondary clone army or a secondary clone army to fight with the burgeoning Empire, and had a whole rebellion. And that's when the Empire, like when they eventually won, they took control of Kamino's cloning facilities.
Yeah.
I think every indicator has been that this is where we're going towards.
Especially with the building tension with, Lamasu.
With
Lamasu.
with the Kaminoans and versus Tarkin.
Yeah, and Tarkin. Whenever Tarkin's in the room, it's like, and he's talking to the however you say it, Kaminoans. I don't even whatever.
Yeah, that's how you say it.
I'm just focused because it's so interesting. This is what I wanted to. This was my point that I made before we started this podcast. I'm really excited and really happy because throughout the amount of I'll never forget the first time I watched episode 3 and then episode 4. I was like, wait, why are they not clone troop? What happened? I never really knew what happened. And if you're just gonna be like, well, you can find out in the comics, I'm just gonna look at you and say F off. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna go looking around through comics, figuring out which ones to watch in order. I'm not gonna do that. No, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm happy they're finally.
So
what?
Sorry, just to add on that point.
You're gonna make me work for my Star Wars content?
No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do that. It's like DLC. No, I'm not gonna do it.
So to add on to your point and to the other points as well, in the comics, and I know this is one comment from because I have it. It's the Force Unleashed, but from Boba's perspective, Force Unleashed 2 from Boba Fett's perspective, and in that he goes to Kamino and finds out that they're still using the cloning process, but because Jango's DNA is so far deteriorated, they take a strand from Boba, and all the clones come out deformed and useless, and they don't work. So as a result, that's what ends up having them rely more on human troops. So granted, I know that was legend, so it's not canonical, but we've seen how they're trying to implement it now, and I think Disney to an extent has some brains where they won't use Starkiller because they know. Well, they took him out originally because he screwed up everything about the continuity. He screwed up everything about the continuity.
I don't want him to be
You're telling me that one man single-handedly founded the rebellion, and almost killed Vader and the Emperor in one game.
You can't tell me that one man nearly took out the entire Death Star, nearly took out the Emperor and Vader at the same time.
And also brought a whole Star Destroyer.
And then survived to come back and capture Darth Vader. The canon ending, I'm not sure. Actually, I'm not sure what the canon ending is. The canon ending is probably that Vader got captured.
Which is pathetic.
Legends.
But they
removed that from canon.
He also just brings a whole Star Destroyer down. That's fine.
I mean, look, the Star Destroyer thing,
the most annoying video game mechanic I've ever done in my entire life.
You can make the argument
pulling the Star Destroyer out of orbit in that game. It's hey, you want to pull it out of the orbit for 5 seconds and then spend 12 minutes fighting TIE fighters? Have fun.
Well, it fixes itself.
Oh my god, it's so annoying.
As much as I would love,
you're like, I am I am a god. Nobody is as powerful as me. I am Star Killer.
As much as I would
Y'all
love
can
for
just-
somebody to create a Force Unleashed movie that is just not canon and it's just for fun, just so we can see, just watch it, like, all happen just on screen and just, freaking go crazy over it, like, that would be cool, but I do not want him canon just because of how strong he is, and if he is canon, they will water him down, and it won't be the same, and we'll just all continue to complain and cry about how he sucks and blows, but hey.
Star Killer is one of those characters
Think about it
like Luke,
Yeah.
Grandmaster Luke Skywalker. We expected Grandmaster Luke Skywalker to be that dude. Like we expected from Grandmaster Luke Skywalker what we got at the end of the Mandalorian. We expected Grandmaster Luke Skywalker.
We saw Luke
expected
at his full potential
Last Jedi.
in Mandalorian.
We expected end of Last Jedi Luke Skywalker. When I saw Luke pull up at the end of Last Jedi, I wanted an actual lightsaber battle. I'm still pissed that did not happen. I'm salty about that because he looked like he was about to give Kylo the work. But then we see him in the Mandalorian. It's like, this is what we wanted. This is what we needed. He's one of those characters where if you dumb it down, if you water him down, it's not the same character. Star Killer is the exact same way. Like you already have so much established, like things that people know he's done, even if it's not canon. People still hold Luke Skywalker to Grandmaster Luke Skywalker Legends levels because we've just never seen him do anything else in canon. Like the most that we've seen him do in canon is if you play Battlefront 2, you get to kind of while out with him against some stormtroopers.
No, you get to while out. I played that campaign several times. You get to while out with him against bugs. The entire campaign, you kill.
Sounds like another Star Wars game.
And then 90% of that mission is you're just fighting like exploding bugs while you're protecting a stormtrooper while he hacks into the fucking.
Sounds like another Star Wars game. I have a hot take on.
You know what,
boys,
farm animals.
Get correct on that. Like, that's just not a good take.
Gentlemen.
The mediator Peter needs to dive in, guys.
We have driven so far off course. We are near the bottom of the ocean.
Let's
back to Bad Batch.
Okay,
we can discuss this at another time.
So, anyways, what did you guys think of?
So we've clarified
So
we
bad
don't
for our
like
listeners.
Let's go in a circle. David, you start us off. What do you think was a high? What was your high, low, and where you'd like to see the series go?
Okay, so my
the
high,
first 3 episodes.
My high was the introduction to Tarkin and the debate, I guess you could call it, between, oh no, clones are good. Our clone facility is good because X, Y, and Z. And then Tarkin comes in and he's like, well, I need to see them in action or whatever. And then I think it was in the most recent episode 3, where there was like a recruit of like a squad of soldiers who presumably were going to be are going to be stormtroopers,
Death Troopers.
Yeah. So
those are definitely Death Troopers. I like that.
They're Mark 1 Death Troopers.
I
That's my theory.
I really like that, and I also really like, again, the whole Order 66. Like, we don't really know what's going on. Like, there's so much more that's to be explored, and I just think that they can explore a lot more. They can go more in depth now that they're traveling to different planets, I assume. I just hope that there's actually, like, stuff going on those planets, and they're just not worthless, useless, like, sand planets or anything. Like, I hope, like, there's stuff going on. And as far as the direction of where the show is going to go, I definitely think that something's going to happen at the end where, what's the other guy's, Hunter? Is that his name? The one of the...
Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the one with the skull on his face?
Dad.
That's Hunter.
Yes. I think something's going to happen where he sacrifices himself for Omega, and it's going to be like that whole thing again. Or something. Something's going to happen like that in regards to Omega. Like, I feel like she's going to do something. Like, we're all sitting here, like, freaking pounding our fists on the table going, we hate her, but she's probably going to be pretty important towards the end. And I don't know if this is a 1-season thing, because I did see a say...
There's probably going to be more seasons.
So, I wonder if this is going to lead into... I guess, obviously, it's going to have to lead into, like, the beginning of, like, the Emperor, and I wonder also if it's going to lead into, if we're going to get any Vader backstory in regards to how he, how he got his first lightsaber, like how he had to bleed his crystal or something like that. I wonder if we're going to get any little snippets of that, because we've been getting snippets of episode 3, which I also liked. So yeah, that's kind of those are my thoughts.
Okay, so that was your high, your low, and okay. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
We can all say our low right now is Omega, and that she currently served no purpose, but we'll see.
Sam, you want to go next?
Sure. My high, or one of my high for episode 1 was just episode 1 in general. Just the fact that like it dropped finally, and that like you really saw the transition between Empire and Republic, like really articulated. My low for the episode was of course seeing Order 66 again, because that's never easy. It's literally like seeing Order 66 get executed is literally like it hurts every time. It will never not hurt. Because like a lot of these Jedi, you know, like at least most of the Jedi that you see it get executed like against, you know, if you haven't seen them in a show, you've like read about them or heard about them, they've appeared, you know, and they mean something to you, or they mean something to a character that you like, such as Kanan's master, you know, I'm pretty sure, yeah, like it means something to Kanan, so therefore it means something to you, especially the people who love Kanan. My expectation for the show was just for it to be a good episode, and it was. It was a very long episode, and it did a lot, but it was also like a very well done. Did a lot, you know. I also liked the thing at the end where Crosshair becomes, you know, I guess a Death Trooper prototype, and then you see the Kaminoan helped them get out like secretly at the end of the episode. I liked that. Episode 2, it was kind of just I mean, honestly, episode 2 was somewhat forgettable, but it was cool to see that deserter guy again. I'm forgetting his name.
Cut
Loquacious.
Yes, it was cool to see Cut again. I think it was a really good segue. And it was necessary for Omega's development, and I guess
Rex has been through here.
And and it was good for Hunter's development as a dad too. It was also good that like it's good to see Rex, or the mention of Rex, because we know we're gonna see him eventually. And then for episode like my low for the episode was just it was a forgettable episode in general. My high for episode 3 was just like it. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I have a high for episode 3 aside from the Death Troopers. The Death Troopers, it was brutal. That was a brutal episode. Just like 1, Crosshair shooting that guy in the chest. 2, them burning and shooting those civilians alive. That was just a lot. And I think it was a bit much, but I also think that that's where, you know, the Death Troopers kind of get their ruthlessness from, because Death Troopers literally have like zero regret, zero remorse. You know, they're genetic, I think, and I think later on they do become genetically enhanced, so there's that too. And I don't think I had a low for episode 3, except for, I mean, Omega did what she needed to do.
I feel like not a lot happened to have a low.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the last 2 episodes was just really nothingness.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily nothingness, but there just wasn't enough like content. There was enough content, but there wasn't enough content, like polarizing content, for there to be a low. It was an episode. It was a good episode. It happened. Nothing really happened that I can outright say that I disliked, you know, and nothing really happened that I can say aside from like the Death Troopers thing that I can outright say that I liked about the episode. But I also do like the fact that the tensions are rising between the Kaminoans and the Empire, and the fact that the Kaminoans are taking it into their own hands to like secure their future, because like it makes sense. You know, the Empire is right now at its most vulnerable state. If anyone is gonna try to carve out a piece of the Empire or tell the Empire what it needs to do, you know, or tell the Empire to go screw itself, it's gonna be right now. So I like that. I like that tension. I like the fact that, you know, the Kaminoans are kind of racing against time.
I wonder if it's ever known. I don't know, because again, I don't read the comics, so I don't know. Does Vader ever go to Kamino to like speak?
That's what I was thinking, because like I was about to say, like, the Kaminoans don't know this, but the Empire has one last trump card up its sleeve, and that is Darth Vader.
Because they could easily, and I mean, I know Palpatine could also go down there and like inspect the cloning facility, but he probably has more matters to attend to, which is, getting Vader in line so he can, because this is like literally right when he's starting to, become Vader, and at this point he's still like trying to get rid of his old self being Anakin Skywalker. So I can imagine it would be kind of difficult for him to just stroll over there and be like, Darth Vader, blah blah blah, you listen to me. Like, I really don't think that's possible. I mean, if it is, obviously we're all gonna fangirl and be like, "Oh my God, it's Darth Vader!" Like,
I think there's enough self-hatred in Anakin for him to be able to focus on his mission. But at the same time, I don't think sending him into a group into a facility full of clones that look like Rex, look and sound like Rex and Echo and all that.
Who is also still alive?
Yeah, Echo is definitely still alive.
Rex
is definitely also still alive. Like,
and he was with Ahsoka, so I wonder if we're gonna be seeing Ahsoka in this series.
I don't think they're gonna overload it with too many Force users or Force users in general. I think that at most you will see Vader, eventually, or maybe an Inquisitor or something like that. Because I think they're gonna try to keep this relatively grounded. Because as soon as you add Jedi into the mix, or like a Force user into the mix, it kind of becomes like, okay, there's not really a lot the clones can do at this point. Like,
I mean, they kept the Mandalorian grounded for a whole season, I think, and then season 2 was just off the walls with bounty hunters and Jedi. So I wonder if they're going to be doing something like that.
I mean, season 2 wasn't that off the walls. Even Ahsoka's fight with the magistrate was pretty grounded. Like, you didn't see her flipping off of everything like you expected her to. But it is what it is. And I think that it was a very solid opening. I look forward to what's happening literally in a couple of hours. For episode 4.
So,
all right, Nick, you want to hit us with yours?
Where did this man go?
Did he disappear? Oh no.
Oh shoot! Sorry guys, my mic was on pause.
You're good.
So I gotta say, I'll probably start with my low. We've talked about it before, but I'm just kind of nervous that they're going back to like sort of the recycled arc. And I'm afraid, that it's just going to be Mandalorian, but with clones. And that, they might make Omega Force sensitive and all that jazz. But I will say one thing that I personally loved, and one of the things that I think is really cool so far, is just the depiction of the clone troopers. Because the clones so far, in my mind, look nothing like regular Phase 2 clone troopers. They are stormtroopers. Like, their personalities are totally different. They act like dicks now. And I'm like, wow, they're really turning them from our besties, the clone troopers, into stormtroopers, people to root against.
I think that
and it's just incredible how they've been able, and they use the inhibitor chip, but just being able to see like Crosshair's debut, him walking out with the green visor, I mean, it was almost like seeing like Red 5 fly across the deck of Moff Gideon's like cruiser, and just being like, oh my god, that's a Death Trooper. Like, this is the first Death Trooper we're seeing, and like just getting to see like the first Death Trooper squad get put together, and just like how they go about their orders. Like, you really saw the Bad Batch were like, no, we're not gonna execute Saw's rebels, because they're not rebels, they're just people. And then getting to see how Crosshair and the Death Troopers approach the same mission. And also just getting to see like really the rise of the Empire, like getting to see like the formation of these elite stormtrooper brigades. Like, I'm a huge fan of Fallen Order. I'm literally playing it again right now. And just getting to like really enjoy this era of Star Wars. It's awesome. And I couldn't be more excited to see where this thing goes. I think like episode 2 was fantastic. It was awesome to go back to Seleucami and see Cut Loquacious. I think that's a great clone story to like really touch back in on. Especially, kind of we get to see like kind of like, because I think Cut Loquacious kind of shows the alternative to what the clones could have had. And especially in like this new era where it's like we see Hunter starting to like think about that role as a father. And getting to see Cut, a clone who was a father. I think that's a really cool dynamic that they can explore further.
Yeah, because the clones are starting to realize that like they're maybe not going to be as needed, or at least some of them are.
And they're kind of starting to think like, okay, so what do we do now? Also, one thing that I have a question about, it's so if you think about kind of when the Siege of Anaxis was, which was kind of like the last mission that Anakin went on before going on the mission with the Bad Batch to rescue Echo. That couldn't have been too long before the start of the show. So my question is, why did the Bad Batch be like, where's Rex? Because Cody is the guy that they know better, the guy that they've worked with in the past, and they would have no way to actually know that Rex had disobeyed Order 66. For all they know, Rex could have killed Ahsoka on the mission. So I'm just kind of curious as to how they know that, like, oh yeah, Rex definitely didn't listen to Order 66.
Well, they never met Ahsoka. Bad Batch has never met Ahsoka.
But you kind of get my message where it's like,
no, I do. Yeah,
I get what you're saying because they do know Cody better than they know Rex, and I think it was interesting that they asked for Rex,
but not before.
I only think they only asked about Rex because he only name dropped Rex.
Yeah,
Cut only said Rex was here the other day. That's why they didn't ask about Cody.
Yeah.
First thought was, oh my god, we need to talk to his other brother. That's the only reason I think they did that.
Yeah, also I think that they recognize that Rex is not, or Cody rather, is not the same person that Rex is, and that Rex, Cody is definitely more by the book, even if he is their like official contact. Rex is definitely more like the one mission that they've gone on with Anakin Skywalker definitely let them know that Anakin Skywalker is not a normal by the book, run of the mill Jedi Knight or a Jedi, general who is going to, do things his way or do things, the way of the Jedi Order. He is going to literally walk out, commit a war crime by pretending to surrender, and then overwhelm you with troops from under a bridge. Episode 7. It's like season 7. But like, so I do believe that even if like Cut hadn't name dropped Rex, they probably would have asked where he was first because of like the fact that they don't like. I don't think I don't like they might have that suspicion that like that Rex would not carry out Order 66 if that was a thing.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's great to see that we have, I mean, there's definitely high hopes. The show's definitely going in the right direction.
Throw mine in there right quick.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So, real quick, make it nice and short. My high, I have to say, was episode 1 in its entirety. It was incredible to see all these characters thrown back into everything. The transition between the end of the Republic and the Empire is one of like the most fascinating time periods. You see how much change is going on. I've also really liked the throwbacks to some of the characters, like we've seen with Cut, which is good to see, and also the transition from clones to human stormtroopers, or to enlisted stormtroopers. I love that division and how we're going to see that meshed up with like Crosshair, like we did in the last episode. My low is, I know it was kind of mentioned already, but the fact that the first episode was like balls to the wall energy. It was fast. It was in your face. It's like, oh my god, there's a gunfight literally every other scene. They set that standard in the first episode. The last 2 episodes have just been agonizingly slow. And then going forward, I really want them to get back in touch with all these other people, all these other characters like Rex and Cody eventually, or if they can find him. But I would love to see more than anything.
Cody's going to be very helpful.
No, I know he won't. But to like hear about Cody, because we don't know what officially happened to him after Cody's quote unquote execution. But what I really, and I'm gonna be quite upfront with you gentlemen on this, I want to see the Bad Batch essentially, because I want them to go out like Rogue One.
I didn't hear you.
We want to go out like I want them to die.
I want them to die.
Oh,
but I want them to all die in ways that fit their character. So like,
I think we have 16 episodes to get that. So,
but that's the thing is like, I want Wrecker to go out in like this huge, like intelligent way that's like, whoa, Wrecker did that. I want Tech to go out, staying behind and using that whole like. I want his.
You want Tech to rig a trap, basically.
I want Tech's final line to be the one he used when they asked about Omega being a clone. Is I thought it was obvious. I'd love for that to be his final line before he goes out. I'd love for Echo to go out in a manner that he did, quote unquote, in Clone
Basically
Wars
being an ARC
before we
trooper.
found him.
You want him to go out as an ARC trooper, not as like a secondary tech specialist.
Not as a personal walking skunk.
Another whole thing. I'm like, he's basically just a droid who can shoot. Like,
but that's the thing. I want these guys to go out the way that Rogue One, killing off their characters, is like they're from a past.
Blaze of fucking glory.
Well, they're from a past generation, a past era, and we haven't heard or seen about anything about them during the rebellion phase. So I would love to see them go out in a blaze of glory and like, I think it's a way that's reminiscent of their missions during the Clone Wars. So I'm hoping they manage to do that and do them some justice.
Going off that, I think it is fitting that because we don't see them at all in the rebellion. But going off of that, I found out the other day by you guys that Rex is actually canonized in like fighting for the rebellion, and I guess he said it at some point. What?
He's the dude with the beard on the Battle of Endor.
Yeah, he's the guy in the beard with the beard on the Battle of Endor, and he doesn't say it at the very last episode of Rebels. They're doing a voiceover about where everyone is, kind of like a denouement, and like you see. Like, the person doing it mentions that Rex fought on Endor.
Yeah.
Fought in the final battle of the rebellion.
I thought that was pretty neat. But, yeah, those are our highs and lows for the Bad Batch. I think...
We have, like, 16, 20 minutes left. So, I think that, like, we've been talking about this in our group chat. So, I think it's time to kind of break this out. Basically, we want you guys, the listeners, to get to know us better. So what we're going to try to do, or what we're going to do in these last, 20 minutes or so, is we're going to ask each other some questions about, just 4 questions. They could be Star Wars related questions. Most of them are probably going to be Star Wars related questions. They could be anything.
We're going to do 1 question each.
Yes.
4 people, like 4 of us. Hence why I call it 4 questions. I don't know. Thought it was kind of cool. Thought it was going to be...
I just don't want it to get confused with each of us asking 4 questions.
No, that would be too much for our tiny pea brains. Anyways...
We're Star Wars fans, not Star Trek fans.
So...
Laser sword.
Yeah, I just thought it would be a way for us to kind of put more of, like, us into the podcast and just to, I don't know, make things more interesting. So, with that being said, Nick, want to ask the first question?
Yes. Let me think.
So, while you think of your question, Seon, want to ask the first question?
Yeah. Okay, so my first question is just to put you all on the spot, I guess, and flex my knowledge as our resident ship expert here. So like legends or canon, what is your favorite Star Wars ship and why?
Ooh.
The Malevolence.
I got this right off the bat.
Malevolence is dope.
I got this right off the bat.
Malevolence. Speak to me. Speak to me in the language of the gods.
Just look at it. It's so bad. It just... Star Wars. It's literally screams Star Wars space battles. It's perfect.
I mean, I can't argue. He's got a really good point.
And I mean,
those episodes were incredible. The whole like stun lock him and just execute an entire ship. That's pretty metal.
It was just great, and it was like the first. Those Clone Wars episodes were like the first like episodes I really like paid attention to and was like watching and was like, this ship's really cool. So yeah, that's my.
So I think
Although
that's like the
I
second or
do.
third arc in the entire show.
What?
I respect that. Yeah, it's like the second arc. It's like
Yeah.
immediately after
I mean, yeah.
the
Yoda's.
Yoda episode.
And I mean, I didn't really
Yeah.
like. The thing is, like, I didn't really follow the Clone Wars like right episode per episode. Like, it kind of took me like a little bit when season 1 was starting to like get into it. But I do like the Jedi fighters though, like the Jedi, like the ships that they each get. Like, I think they're pretty cool.
The Aero Sprites or the Interceptors?
The Interceptors.
Gotcha. So the ones in episode 3 at the
Yes.
Battle of Coruscant?
Yes, those are really cool.
But I'm really a fan of the Aether Sprites, which are the ones
Ooh,
from
yes.
Obi-Wan's
Kenobi's Jedi fighter from
most
episode 2.
most notably from episode 2 with the best sound in the entire world, the Slave One's Seismic Charge.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll probably break this down into kind of like a transport ship, kind of like a fighter, and then a capital ship, since there are way too many amazing ships in Star Wars to narrow it down. So to kind of begin, I think, Cassian Andor's U-Wing from Rogue One. I love the U-Wing. It's like literally my favorite ship to play as in Star Wars Squadrons.
I got a good one, but I'll wait.
I think it's just awesome. Everything
Yes,
about
the
it,
U-Wing
especially in Rogue One, how it's kind of like that support aircraft, but also could be used by like small teams of spies to go in behind enemy lines. I just think it's really cool.
The U-Wing, I
if
believe, is the rebel/canon answer to the Republic gunship.
Yeah,
The Twilight.
the Twilight is
if
also
we're-
dope.
If we're gonna do 2 apiece, then you cheating bastards. I know my 2 right off the bat.
Spit.
Then I'd have to go with Obi-Wan's Aether Sprite from episode 2 with
And
the
the
hyperspace ring, just because it's dope. And then I have to go to the Endurance Venator class Star Destroyer because
Love Venators. Venators,
like
I'm
also,
like,
can we please talk about the fact that Lego has not graced us with a UCS series Venator yet, and that we've gotten like 4 versions of like the A-Wing. Like, come on, we haven't gotten a Venator Lego set since 2009 when I was like 10 years old. Sorry, I'm still not over the fact that I didn't get it for Christmas that year. But Peter, your turn.
Okay, I will argue while all of those are dope as hell. I think my 2 are easily the best, just based on the characters.
Stop
So,
stroking
my
your
first
chicken
one-
and just get on with it.
My first one is the Rogue Shadow, which
Ooh,
is
Rogue
Starkiller's ship. So it's the Rogue Shadow, and it's the Scimitar, which is the Sith infiltrator ship that Maul
Small
flies.
ship. We are flexing
Maul-
today.
Maul and
Peter
Starkiller,
just
in
wants
my
to sneak up on
opinion,
Pete, bro.
have the greatest ships in the entirety of the Star Wars fandom.
We are flexing today. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'll answer my own question. My very first one, I would have to say is this is a very niche ship. First of all, I love every single selection. I love every single selection because like the Venator to this day is one of the greatest capital ships of all time. It can literally do everything. It
Yeah.
can it can blockade a planet. It can essentially blockade a planet by itself because not only is it a dedicated warship, but it is also a dedicated carrier with enough fighters and troops to project power across an entire star system, potentially an entire sector, if you're smart about it. And it's also fast enough to chase down smaller vessels, like blockade runners, an Imperial 2 class Star Destroyer is not fit to chase down a ship like the Millennium Falcon. I fully believe a Venator could. I fully believe a Venator could keep pace with the Millennium Falcon.
Or a Venator would be able to launch pursuit ships that could.
Actually,
Yes,
I think
a Venator. I'm sorry, if a Venator sends a bunch of Z95 clone headhunters or a group of ARC 170s, you're not getting away. I don't care who you are.
I think
Those
I
are
th-
hyperspace capable, and none of the TIE
Yeah.
fighters we see in canon until we get into the sequel era have hyperspace
Yes.
capabilities.
I think
And
you guys
Exactly.
are missing The Imperial Star Destroyer is easily the best ship ever because apparently you can just mass produce a shit ton of them and hide them in the goddamn core of the Sith world. Yeah, you can just mass produce them. I mean, come on now. And they can each have Death Star laser capabilities. So, I mean, hey.
They can each have a Planet Buster, yeah. Those are weird, but we're not going to talk about those. Those are probably...
like Zystar or Xylon
I'm going to pretend I didn't see that.
Like that.
Zystan. The Zystan class Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Those don't make sense to me. But my first ship, I will say, is it's a very niche ship. It only occurred a couple times. It only appeared a couple times in Legends. It's an Imperious class Star Destroyer. It's also known as the Advanced. Yeah, it's the Advanced class Star Destroyer. It's one of the ones that appears in 137 ABY. And it's an Imperial design, but it's also a Mon Calamari design. And it is an incredibly impressive ship. It's got, it is in the same vein as the Venator. It's got enough firepower to reduce a lot of your ships to cinders, but it also has enough but it also carries a couple fighter wings with it, etc., etc. It's really an impressive ship. It's also a very cool ship. It's made like it formed the spearhead of the Galactic Alliance remnant fleet to retake Coruscant and all that stuff. Honestly, like the Star Wars Legacy comics, really cool, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then my second ship is surprisingly not the Venator. I was really gonna go with the Venator, but because it is one of my favorite ships of all time. But my second would probably have to be the ARC 170. The ARC 170 is just it's the predecessor to the X-Wing. It's everything that you would want in a heavy fighter. In the hands of someone who's just a really good pilot, or just just clone pilots, it's a weapon of mass destruction. It really is. Like it has the two wings. It has the two weapons on the wings. It has the it has proton torpedo launchers. It has the rear cannon on the back. And it just gets the job done. Like, sure, it might be a little unwieldy, it might be a little slower than, say, an X-Wing, but it really just gets the job done. And I just love, everything about the ARC 170 ever since I first saw it in Episode 3. I mean, there's nothing better. There's nothing better.
All right, boys. Before we wrap up this episode,
well, we still have
essentially I think maybe we should
questions.
Yeah,
based on the time. It's maybe we could do one question per week at the end. Gives us a little more time to discuss it in depth, and also not push us.
Well, I didn't think we would go this in depth with these questions.
Like y'all went in on these. I'm impressed. Y'all went in with these answers, man.
Also, viewers, if you guys have any questions you want us to answer, we always check our comments. So if you guys have anything you'd like us to talk about, please let us know.
So
Peter,
real quick before we head out,
that thing?
What is that? I've seen this before, but what is that?
Real quick, I'm about to drop some knowledge. What I just put on the Discord, and see if David can link this up to the video real quick so you guys can see it. Boys, that is Jango Fett's first ship.
It looks like a
Dude, his first ship was not the Slave One. His first ship. That one I just posted.
Why does that look like a hammerhead shark? What is that thing? Somebody looked like they just put a comb in between that.
That's a Mon Calamari class battle cruiser.
Okay, I'm gonna ask my question now because screw you guys talking about ships for 20 minutes.
Bro, we are like how far into this?
53 minutes.
David,
spend the last 5 minutes talking about this. This topic should literally take 2 seconds. So. With quarantine happening...
How do you have a Star Wars podcast and not spend 45 minutes talking about ships? What would Star Wars be without ships? Just some...
Tell you what, we'll do another episode about
wars.
I'll let y'all dedicate a whole episode about ships, and it can't be no less than an hour. Y'all need to keep...
He will let us. Boys, he's let us dedicate an episode.
As if we won't hop on here and literally just do it.
Yeah.
David, just ask your
I'm
question.
the driving force here. No.
David, just ask your question.
Okay, with quarantine happening over the past year, obviously some of us have, whether we've picked up new hobbies or found new discoveries, like Nick said, he's found his love for Star Wars again. What was one show, hobby, or video game that you discovered? For me, I watched the show Breaking Bad multiple times, and I thought it was the best show ever. I watched the movie as well, but I have yet to watch Better Call Saul. So yeah, basically just watching Netflix.
I played a lot of Minecraft and watched a lot of Star
Yes,
Wars.
I did. I played a shit ton of Minecraft. Oh my goodness. That game is just...
I played some 2K. I played 2K. I played through Fallen Order. I played games to completion. Like I played Battlefront to completion. I played Fallen Order to completion. I also what's up, viewers? I'm a big anime fan. If you guys will have any anime related questions, or if you guys want to talk anime with me, let me know. I finished Demon Slayer. I watched the Demon Slayer movie.
Demon Slayer's goated.
Demon Slayer it's so good. It's like,
I want to watch anime. I just don't know where to start.
The
Full Metal
story
Alchemist
itself,
Brotherhood.
Yeah, start there.
That's where you start.
The story
Where?
itself may be kind of weak and not weak, but like the story itself may be generic, but the animation is goated. Like literally, the animation team at Mappa can do no wrong. But that's really been it for me. I've been meaning to get back into working out, and I guess now that I have time to do that, since
Same
school's
too. I've been
over-
doing a shit ton of that recently.
Yeah, I think that now that school's over, I'll have time to do that. So.
Well, yeah. So
No, I'm in the same boat. It's been video games when I got the chance, working for the most part. But recently I just got the legendary edition of the Mass Effect trilogy.
ooh.
So I've been back through playing through the first game, and it's so nostalgic. It is epic to
I
be
just
back
started
in
playing
the Mass
Doom
Effect world.
again for like the 7th time. Oh my god. I need to get Doom
2016?
Eternal. Yes, 2016.
Dude, it's so good.
I'm playing
It's
it on the
so-
hardest difficulty right now, and I'm gonna lose sleep and get gray hair, but I don't even care. It's such a good game.
The soundtrack.
Dude, I literally...
If I could have 2 video game soundtracks,
I have a
for the rest
workout
of my life.
playlist, and half of it is
It'd
just
be
the Doom
Minecraft
soundtrack.
and
I swear to
Doom.
God.
all
I
right.
feel like I'm Doom guy when I bench. I'm benching these freaking demons.
All right, guys.
All right. Well, 57 minutes and 25 seconds later. Okay. Well, yeah. So Bad Batch episode 4 tomorrow. Looking forward to that and seeing more Omega.
Omega.
Gentlemen,
Stop
thank
that.
you very much
Stop that.
again. If you guys have any questions you would like us to ask as well, please be sure to drop them in the comments below. But if you tell me anything about going to read the comics, I will just tell you to F off, and I am not going to do that. So yes, thank you guys so much for listening. I plan on getting this on Spotify as well. I'm just being a lazy cat recently, so whenever it's on, I'll make an announcement. Hopefully by the time this podcast goes up, we'll have some Instagram post. I don't know. We've been very busy, so maybe now with summer I can...
Now that we have time to focus on this.
Yes, now that we can actually, use other resources. Thank you guys so much for watching. Follow us on Instagram, like us on YouTube, share with your friends, and yeah.
May the force be with you.
Oh, may the force be with all of you.
May
Until
the
next
force be
time.
with you, boys.
Later.